Welcome. 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 Hey. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. However you identify yourself, whomever you love, however you honor the sacredness of life, whether you find inspiration in sacred texts, poetry, music, art, science, inner reflection, YouTube videos, or simply a deep connection to nature and all living beings, you are welcome here. I want to elaborate just a bit more on our mission statement, but it says, with some adjectives added, by working together, we can discover truths we never imagined, honor diversity we never recognized before, serve with love so deep we didn't know we had it, and work for justice in a world in dire need of compassion. Welcome. My name is Larry Morrell. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here. As we gather, I want to acknowledge that the land, water, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territories of the S'Klallam and Chimacum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our indigenous neighbors and members and pledge to work to restore and maintain these homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to visit our newcomers table out here in the foyer. And there's a patio, by the patio doors, and there's also greeters who are wearing these things. It says welcome. I can help you if you have any questions. We do have a few announcements this morning. Covenant group and affinity group sign-ups, this is the last Sunday for that. The sign-ups are out in the foyer. If you haven't signed up, please do so. It's a great way to get to know people here. It's a great way to connect in small groups. Fellowship hour is wonderful. Everyone meets there and we have coffee and conversation. But for many introverts, it's not the best way to get to know people. So get to know people, you gather in small groups. So I encourage everyone to sign up for a covenant group or an affinity group and get to know each other. We have Wild Church this coming Saturday on September 23rd. We gather with other folks and other beings of our planet. Katie Taylor guides and offers practices to help deepen our connection and reverence with the living earth. We meet at Fort Townsend, the state park just outside of town, under the big Doug fir tree. Hard to miss. There's a flyer out in the foyer, and the Friday update also has more information. And we have another special announcement. The QUUF Board of Trustees wants to inform the fellowship of a change in the membership of our board. David Remp has resigned for personal reasons, and according to our bylaws, the board has met and appointed a replacement. The replacement you're all very familiar with. She was part of the presentation of the candidates when we had our elections. Her name is Mary Tyburski. Yay, Mary. She brings a wealth of experience to the role. We are very happy to welcome Mary to the board, and I must say it was unanimous. So thank you, Mary. Join me now as the sound of our singing bowl fills our space. I invite you to take 3 deep, cleansing breaths, letting go of the internal chatter that can steal your attention. Let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
Good morning. Nice to hear your voices. Our opening words, different from what it says in your order of service. I forget that people don't allow last-minute changes in orders of service that they print out on Thursday. But we have words from Leah Ongiri. Here we are together, each facing our different human tasks, or maybe the same central one, to embrace all that life delivers, to discern and respond as we grow, to refuse harm and cherish flourishing. May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility, holders of each other's heartaches and tales of joy alike, weavers of one story in which we all have our part. It is good to be together today.
Please join in our chalice lighting words. These were written by Florence Caplow, Reverend Florence Caplow, whom many of us know when she did her 2 years of ministry with us. Sunlight streams through a rounded window. We kindle this flame, honoring the doorways into our souls, the windows through which we gaze at one another, the balconies where we catch glimpses of sky, the thresholds we stand on this morning, wondering, hoping, fearing, dreaming. Please join and rise as you are able for hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
I must answer yes to life, though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Anyone who wants to come forward? Smaller people, larger people? Yeah, y'all can come on up. Come on. I'm a friendly person. I don't bite often. Okay, I'm getting more adults than I am kids up here, which is okay by me, but I really kind of like having y'all up here. You may want to be able to look up and see the pictures, or look on the book and see the pictures. This is so fun. Hi. Thank you for sitting next to me. Our book today is Little Mole Finds Hope, and it's a little out of season, but it's a worthwhile read. So can y'all see? So, hi. Welcome. Little Mole was sad. He lay in his burrow, deep underground. He put his head in his paws. Have any of you felt that way sometimes? Were you sad? Do you get sad sometimes? I get sad sometimes. Little Mole, whatever is wrong? Asked Mama. I don't know, Mama, sniffed Little Mole. But I don't feel good inside. I'm sad. What you need is hope, Mama said. Hope? What's hope? Where do I find it? Little Mole asked. Come with me, Mama said, as she took hold of Little Mole's paw. Sometimes hope is hiding in the darkness. Sometimes it's hard to see, but it's always there. You just have to find it. Where do you think they might look to find hope? Anybody? What do you think? Okay, you're just as confused as I am then. Good. Mama led her son gently out of the dark burrow up toward the light. But on their way out of the tunnel, Mama stopped. Do you see this bulb, Little Mole? She asked. Mama pointed to a bulb squashed in the dark earth. It was brown and wrinkled and lifeless. It's dead, Mama, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly. This bulb is not dead. Sometime soon it will feel the warmth of the sun. It will begin to grow and push its way out of the deep, cold earth. One day this bulb will become a beautiful yellow daffodil. Close your eyes, Little Mole. Can you see it dancing in the wind? Can you close your eyes and see? Can you see I can see the daffodil. No? Darn it. Okay. Oh, yeah, well, you just have to imagine it. Can you see it, Little Mole? Yes, Mama, cried Little Mole. I can see it. That is hope. Little Mole and Mama reached the bottom of the top of the burrow, where the sun was shining. Look up, Little Mole, Mama said. What do you see? Little Mole looked up. He saw a woodpecker sitting in the trees, but the branches were bare. They stretched out like skeleton bones silhouetted against the sky. What do you think he said? They're dead, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly. The trees are not dead. One day soon buds will appear and these branches will be covered with bright green leaves. Close your eyes, Little Mole. Can you see them dancing in the wind in your imagination?
I see kind of like bright red.
You see bright red. Okay, well, that's a good thing. Yes, Mama, said Little Mole. I see them. I can see them. That is hope, Mama said. Little Mole and his Mama scurried along the edge of the woods until they came to Mr. Rabbit's garden. An old brown flower pot was lying on its side in the soil. Under the rim, something small and shriveled was hanging. It's dead, Mama, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly, the chrysalis is not dead. One day soon the butterfly will grow inside and burst out of her shell. She will spread her wings and fly free among the flowers. Close your eyes, Little Mole, said Mama. Can you see her dancing in the wind? And Little Mole said, yes, Mama, I see her. I see her. That is hope. Little Mole and his Mama went home. I had a wonderful day today, Mama, Little Mole said happily. Now I know that there's always hope, even in the darkest places. Mama smiled as she tucked Little Mole into bed, pulled his quilt up under his chin, and kissed him goodnight. And Little Mole closed his eyes and fell fast asleep, dreaming of yellow daffodils, green trees, and beautiful butterflies dancing together in the wind. And that ends our story today. Can anyone tell me a place where they might find hope? Do you find it in trees? Where?
Sailing.
In, I'm sorry, I don't have my hearing aids in today, so you have to speak up for me.
Sailing.
Sailing? Oh, you find hope in sailing because you're out in the water and it feels good?
Have a boat.
Because you have a boat. That's awesome. It's easier to sail with boats, isn't it? It's not the only way, though. Anybody else? Where do you find hope? Do you know?
Sailing.
Sailing is another place that you could find hope. Anyone else? Anyone of any age? In? Trees. Hope in trees. Yeah, they're spectacular, aren't they? Well, sorry? Hope in children. Woo! Thank you all for coming up and being with me today and hearing our aisle to make an arch so we can sing our children out.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I've heard it said too often that Unitarian Universalists lack ritual. Well, as you see, we do not lack ritual. We honor our children, and we've been doing that for decades. We pause for a time of generosity to receive an offering to support the life and ministry of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We invite the ushers forward to take that offering, and additional instructions for giving this morning are on the screen or online or at the front of the sanctuary. And our offertory is Andante from Sonata in A major by Franz Schubert, of course presented by Pat Rodgers.
We set aside time each week to hear about the joys and sorrows that are shared among us. We recognize that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And so we place the first stone this morning, thinking in particular of Libya and of Morocco and all the places that are suffering from climate chaos. The words from Warsan Shire in her poem, What They Did Last Night, come back to me as we place this. She writes, I have been praying, and these are what the prayers look like. Dear God, I come from 2 countries. One is thirsty, one is on fire. Both need water. Last night, I held an atlas in my lap and ran my fingers across the whole world and whispered, where does it hurt? It answered, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. The joy from within the congregation from Rena, thank you. She says, thanks to the potato peelers, bean boilers, and chive choppers who gave us so many things to eat last Sunday. Can I hear an amen, friends? Thanks to the setup crew, cleanup crew, and all who had a hand in Sunday's fabulous treat. And a candle is lit for those among us and around us across the world who have begun the high holy days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. May these days of reflection be deep, and may the coming year be sweet for all who celebrate. And we place a final stone, holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows spoken here and those that are held quietly in our own hearts. Thank you, Kathy. I invite you into a time of quiet and reflection together. You may want to close your eyes, settle into your seat, however you are most comfortable, to come into a time of stillness. I offer these words by John O'Donohue, the morning offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set free the ghosts of longing into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from the dark bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, waves of desire I am sure to, and all the beauty drawn to my eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. Let us pause in stillness. So may it be. Our reading this morning is a poem from Andrea Gibson, who uses they, them pronouns. You'll need to know that later on in the service. And I'm going to let Andrea speak it to us. So please enjoy her words, their words, in the year of no grudges. You don't have it? Oops. Well, that doesn't work very well. Did I not send it to you? I could have sworn I did. It is readily available online. You know, it's just that kind of day right now, right? Just that kind of day this morning. I forgot my hearing aids. Anybody who wants to talk to me, shout when we're out for coffee. Yeah, ish, right, yeah, ish. It's yeah, we're kind of in that ish space. I swear to God, I put it out there. Right? You know, like you remember, you clicked on it. You were like, oh yeah, that one, that's the one I want. Yeah, copied it, put it into something. I thought it was the script. Watch, we'll see it next week, right? Because that's probably where I put it. I'm sorry? Almost have it. Awesome. Do we love Christina or what, friends? Last week she was scrambling so hard, trying to get it online for folks who were joining us from home. Did I miss something? No, I didn't. Yay. Yes.
The
Anybody
year of
know
no
a good
grudges,
joke?
or instead of writing a furious text,
While we're waiting,
I try a poem. I know most people try
I'm trying
hard
to
to do
remember
good
if I
and
have
find
one
out
that I
too
can
late they
tell
should have
in-
tried
in,
softer.
polite company.
I've never in my whole life been level-headed, but the older I get, the more level-hearted. And I think we make gods who look like us for a
You what?
reason. I think in spite of it all, we trust we can be believed in. When I don't believe in myself, I try to
She
remember
knows
I
a
have
place
walked on
in
water like
France
700
where
times
people
in
wear
Maine
clothing that
in the
is
dead of
too
winter.
big.
Where I come from, you can drive a pickup truck from one side of
Oh,
the
no,
lake to
no,
the
I was
other,
I wanted
and
y'all to
people
say,
have
where's
an
that?
unusually high quantity
She
of missing teeth
took my
and fingers, but you
punchline
can
away.
still count on them
Those
to buy
of you
whitening
online
strips
would
and
have
wedding
missed
rings.
perhaps
Because
that
where
that
I
was
come from,
too
beauty
loose.
is in the eye of
That's a
anyone
really
who sees
bad
what's
one.
missing, but can't stop pointing to
I
what's still
really
there.
like it.
If there's no definition for love yet, I think that's a good one. I'm writing you,
Anybody else
friend,
have a
on a
joke?
day you did me wrong. I'm only half a second outside the furnace of my rage.
Oh gosh,
and I'm
I know
trying
that
to focus
one.
my attention
What's brown
on all
and
the teeth you
sticky?
still
Everybody
have. The teeth I
together?
know you would happily
Stick.
knock out yourself if it would keep you from biting anyone again.
Some of you have not
that's
been
how
around
mistakes work.
5-year-olds
If you're
recently.
loving the right kind of people.
We're on.
And you're the
Awesome.
right kind of people.
Please enjoy.
You've walked on
Andrea
water
Gibson,
so many
A
times.
Year
You
of
know,
No
grace
Grudges.
is super slippery. There's literally nothing anyone is more likely to fall from. Some sound advice I give myself like twice an hour.
You might want to go. Yeah.
Instead of writing a furious text, I try a poem. I know most people try hard to do good and find out too late they should have tried softer. I've never in my instead of writing a furious text, I try a poem. I know most people try hard to do good. The year of no grudges, or instead of writing a furious text, I try a poem. I know most people try hard to do good and find out too late they should have tried softer. I've never in my whole life been level-headed, But the older I get, the more level-hearted. And I think we make gods who look like us for a reason. I think in spite of it all, we trust we can be believed in. When I don't believe in myself, I try to remember I have walked on water like 700 times in Maine in the dead of winter. Where I come from, you can drive a pickup truck from one side of the lake to the other, and people have an unusually high quantity of missing teeth and fingers, but you can still count on them to buy whitening strips and wedding rings, because where I come from, beauty is in the eye of anyone who sees what's missing, but can't stop pointing to what's still there. If there's no definition for love yet, I think that's a good one. I'm writing you, friend, on a day you did me wrong. I'm only half a second outside the furnace of my rage, and I'm trying to focus my attention on all the teeth you still have, the teeth I know you would happily knock out yourself if it would keep you from biting anyone again. And that's how mistakes work. If you're loving the right kind of people, and you're the right kind of people. You've walked on water so many times, you know grace is super slippery. There's literally nothing anyone is more likely to fall from. Some sound advice I give myself, like twice an hour, wear knee pads on the way to your ego, Andrea. Being right is boring. It comforts only the tiniest parts of us. And when it comes to hearts, I want always to be a size queen, because that's how I found you, lifting the spirits of everyone around you like a hot air balloon just from the way you burned, to be a better person today than you were the day before. Burning to be better is my favorite quality on anyone, and you are on fire like a gay men's choir rocking the halftime show of a football game. I have been dancing in the end zone since you taught me to start breaking every promise I have made to my pain, taught me my wounds will never, ever be bigger than I am. Thank goodness for you, champion of the unkillable yes, dandelion, refusing to be cut for the bouquet. 5 minutes into our first conversation, you knew I could take a punch better than I could take a compliment, and you talked to me about that only once, and bam, I was angel gossip. There were God rumors spreading in my suddenly unheavied head. I love you because you've never had a mirror face, because the truth is the last thing you would ever try to fake. So sometimes you look like a human scribble, like a 2-year-old has colored you in, like you have too many feelings to stay inside the lines of your own skin. But that, friend, that is the masterpiece. I love you because we both showed up to kindness tryouts with notes from the school nurse that said we were too hurt to participate, but we learned how wrong we were. And weren't those the best days? The days we learned how wrong we were, and so got to grow into our goodness, throwing the peach pits of our old selves into the garden to grow sweetness, sugar. I pick you to be the captain of my chosen family tree. I pick you to throw the party when I leave this world, knowing I'm gonna run death like a stop sign and keep going. I pick you to finish all my half-written poems, even though you suck at writing poetry. I pick you to finish this one especially, which is basically just a list of compliments you'd be a hypocrite not to take. So take it before I remember I'm mad at you, asshole, butt knuckle, nutwad, only human on earth who knows exactly what I mean when I say God. I mean everyone down here who understands why when I get to heaven, I will refuse to call it heaven if the people I love who put me through hell aren't there.
I hope it was worth waiting for. Some of you may have heard me already gush about Andrea Gibson. I discovered them in February of 2020 when a poem called Boomerang Valentine popped up in my Facebook feed, and I clicked on it. I was so smitten, I cannot even tell you. I ordered the book, Lord of the Butterflies, immediately and read the poem to everybody who would listen that week. I read it to the staff, during our weekly meeting. I read it to my colleagues at our monthly check-in gathering. I read it to my husband, I think several times. He could affirm that, I suspect. I would have stopped strangers on the street to read it to them if I'd thought of it. I was so completely smitten by Andrea and their words. And then I discovered they had a new book out, You Better Be Lightning, and that they were about to go on tour to promote the new book. This next sentence is written in all caps, and they were coming to Olympia, and I lived in Olympia. I bought 2 tickets and was just absolutely ready to go see them. But you probably have or can do the math and realize that they didn't actually make it to Olympia. This was April 2020. They were meant to be there. They didn't make it anywhere else either. COVID came around, and I have to tell you, I was so crushed. So crushed. Over the run of the pandemic, though, I got a chance to attend several online gatherings that they offered for their fans. And I listened and swooned and returned to their poetry again and again. In one of the online gatherings, they gave the story. They talked about what had happened, the story for the poem that we heard this morning, and then spoke it again to us all online. There is so much I love about this poem. I meant to warn you about the not really fit for church language, but I figure y'all are good at that. There's so much about it that I love. It comes back to me all the time. One of the places it comes back to me is in yoga, surprisingly enough. My yoga teacher, Lisa, who I took classes from a few times a week while I lived in Olympia, and who was the person who led the yoga teacher training that I started in November of 2021 and into October of 22. Lisa would often take us into a pose and then remind us to soften into it. Anybody else do yoga and learn about softening into it? And so I'm going to ask you to do a little settling, a little softening with me. If you want, as you wish, if you want to take part, I would suggest getting really settled in your seat and putting both feet on the ground and closing your eyes. It's one of those true things that once you close your eyes, no one can see you. So, I want you to give that a go. So now that we're settled in, I invite you to lift through the crown of your head, lengthen out your spine. Just let it feel long. Tuck your chin back in just a little bit. And now let's roll our shoulders. Bring them forward and up, and then let them soften down your back. You should take nice, deep, long breaths. Let them soften down your back. And then take them the other way, bringing them forward. And bring your spine long again. Let your shoulders soften down. Lift up through the crown of your head. And this time I want to take you to take your right ear and lean it up towards the ceiling. Feel that nice long stretch on the side of your neck. And again, let it soften. Release the muscles. Then with an inhale, come back up, lift through the top of your head again, and lean, take your left ear up toward the ceiling. Soften, soften. And then let's come back to center. Bobble your head around a little. And again, lift through the crown of your head, take a few deep breaths, and then enter into the room again. Open your eyes. Do you notice a difference? Did you feel what it meant to soften? Those words of Andrea's have been coming back to me again and again and again. Try softer. In these first 6-ish weeks that I've been here, I've been listening to the members and friends of the fellowship, trying to wrap my mind and my heart around these last difficult years. What would it mean for all of us, to try softer? In the meet and greet sessions that I've been holding, there are some strong constants in the responses that I've heard. What do you love about QUUF? I've been asking. A strong contender for the most common answer is the people. It's often followed by an exclamation, I love the people here. There are good and people here who have done amazing things. I already know that. There are people who have given to the community within these walls and outside of these walls. People who have helped out when it was needed. People who have gone the extra distance when someone was in trouble. And what I know is that those good people are everywhere in this congregation. Everywhere in this congregation. They are in every group. They represent every perspective. The people, many of you have been telling me, the people who are here is what you love most. And then I ask, tell me a concern. Some version of the conflict is in the running for the most common answer to that question. You are likely not surprised by that. Some folks add details defining their perspective. Some folks express confusion and just want to understand what's happening around them that is only talked about in vague and insider terms. Not a small number of people just want something more like peace to come back. I'm going to guess that that's most of you too. And they're waiting to see if anything can be done. And there are some who have lost hope. And they think that they'll never see the end of these troubles. But here's the first step, friends. We have to try softer. Recognize that so long as everyone is holding on to being right, holding on to their one truth, holding on to only knowing the only path, so long as we hold on to these things, we will be roiling and falling apart. My colleague, Teresa Coley, recently published a book called Transforming Conflict, The Blessings of Congregational Turmoil. The book grows out of her years of transitional ministry and study around issues that come up in congregations. I know, right? The title, The Blessings of Congregational Turmoil. Few people I know would choose that word to describe congregational turmoil, yet it is, as I like to say, another, and insert your own favorite swear word here, another growth opportunity. I tend to shorten that to AFGOs. I'll let you fill in my word. I might quibble a bit about the idea of it being a blessing, but it is indeed the case that the only way is through. So we might as well find the blessings that are there on the way. The board and I are going to be reading this book this year and discussing it, and it's a slim book. It's really a very, very easy to read and good read, and I commend it to any of you who might want to take that up as well. Gil Rendell, who is a congregational consultant who has worked with congregations of all sorts for decades, wrote the foreword to the book. He reminds us First, that the world around us is roiling in so many ways. Disruptions are the stuff of our everyday life. Disruptions environmentally, nationally, globally, community-wide. He aligns himself with Teresa's perspective on how to transform conflict. That is, they agree that the way to create transformation is to change ourselves. Gill says this: the self, after all, is the only place where we actually have control in the world and in communities continuously confronted by swift, deep, and global change. He goes on, this book's value is in helping each of us to live healthily in a world and in communities where the tension of conflict cannot be avoided. He suggests further, people who choose to be part of a congregation should expect to be transformed. Note again, the growth opportunity that is at the core of what being in a congregation is or should be about. In small groups, I've heard people talk about the inspiration and learning that they appreciated during Bruce Bodie's ministry here. You left changed after listening to his sermons. What Bruce brought, as I've heard, is a keen mind with wide and deep knowledge of many subjects and the heart of a lover of poetry. I suspect what he offered was just this opportunity for transformation. I have to say, having heard Bruce on several occasions, it was certainly my experience of him. If our purpose here in this congregation, in this fellowship, is to grow, to be transformed over and over again, then everything has the potential to bring about transformation, even, and maybe even especially, conflict. Gil Rendell defines what that means. Conflict transformation, he says, is not about wresting order out of chaos. It is certainly not about returning to the time and state we were before we knew the conflict. Conflict transformation is about forming ourselves and shaping our congregation so that faith can bring meaning to the differences and changes that are unavoidably constant and deep in our lives. I'll read that again. Conflict transformation is about forming ourselves and shaping our congregations so that faith can bring meaning to the differences and changes that are unavoidably constant and deep in our lives. And my friends, I hope that's what we're doing here. I hope that's what we're in together, willing to do the work of transformation in this time of conflict into the next, I hope, golden era of this fellowship. I hope that we can find ways to learn and to change and to discover together. But before any of it can happen, we all have to soften. We all have to try softer. In closing, I want to circle back to Andrea's poem that is the text for my reflections today. They say, where I come from, you can drive a pickup truck from one side of the lake to the other, and people have an unusually high quantity of missing teeth and fingers, but you can still count on them to buy whitening strips and wedding rings. Because where I come from, beauty is in the eye of anyone who sees what's missing but can't stop pointing to what is still there. If there's no definition for love yet, I think that's a good one. What do we love about this place? The people. Smart, compassionate, loving, giving, generous. Ready hearts and hands to help when the opportunity arises. We see what's missing. We need to look for what's missing, yes, but keep pointing at what's still there. My friends, we need to find a way to transform disagreements and difficulties into a community that can continue to heal the world in all of the large and small ways that you all have always done, where we are all growing and learning and pointing to what's here. Andrea issues a call in the poem, too. It's a call back to our Universalist roots. They note that Buddy, the poet to whom this is addressed, knows, and I quote here, exactly what I mean when I say God. I mean everyone down here who understands why, when I get to heaven, I will refuse to call it heaven if the people who put me through hell aren't there. Have you ever heard a better definition of universalism, my friends? There is nothing easy about the work that we have ahead of us, but there is possibility, and there is change happening. We don't get to choose, whether change happens or not. It is, as I've already noted too many times, the only thing that we can be actually certain of. We can make this time together a transformative time, coming to one another open to possibility and always with love for the people who are here with us. May it be so. Amen. What did I miss? Dang.
Invite Bob forward.
That could have taken up all of that time that we were waiting. Please come and offer our special music. goodness. If I'm not wrong, it's time for our closing song. 168, if you want to use the hymnal, one more step.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone, we'll say one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone, we'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone, we'll sing one more song.
Please be seated. A slip of paper unearthed during my recent moves attributes these words to some board of trustees somewhere in their report in 1944, 1945. What the board of trustees, where they were, and why they were sharing this is not completely clear to me, but it seems a good goal or a good mission for any board of trustees. They say, we make no claim to perfection. Our members are not saints, nor is our church organization perfect. Can I get an amen? Amen. We consider ourselves learners and explorers in the field of life. May that be so for all of us. And this blessing to close our service, an echo of John O'Donohue's words from our meditation. May I have the courage today to live the life I would love, to postpone our dream no longer, but do at last what we came here for and waste our hearts on fear no longer. So may it be. Amen. Join with me in saying our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.